I knew it was going to be a hard job, but I still felt like it was my duty to do this because my parents always told us we should try to make the world a little better place. And I knew that if I could get into the teaching, that would be helping Hammond to be better. But there were times, though, that I felt that like the whole world was on my shoulder. But anyway, I kept thinking that I can't give up. I have to keep, working on it.
So what really encouraged you to keep going since you were facing all these like negative feedback for your trial? I assume that there was some negative response.
Oh, yes. The main reason I kept going is because the superintendent was violating the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And so I knew that he was wrong right then. And then also he violated the first article of the Indiana Constitution. And so I figured that if he violated both of these places or things or ideas, documents that were there to,
It's okay.
that were there to guarantee every citizen of the United States to have protection and privileges and rights. Those were two things that were definitely there, and he was breaking them like anything, and he didn't care, I guess. At first I said, well, maybe he doesn't know. Then I said, no, he's got to know. So he just didn't care. He was just breaking. So that's why I kept pushing, because I knew that I would win, and also my parents and finally people in the neighborhood wanted me to win. So that's why I kept pushing.
So I obviously know this, but for the sake of the interview, what was the verdict?
The verdict was that I did get the job. We never did go to court. We just had these preliminary hearings, but I did get the job. And I got the job in 1959, September, but I didn't get to start working until 1960s in September.
Okay. So where was your first teaching job?
At Maywood School, and that's the only place I ever taught in Hammond.
And could you describe some of your experiences, maybe something that really stands out from your being the first African American teacher in the school? What was different because you were African American? Like, what were some instances that really stand out in your mind?
Okay, one is that I got into on every committee that I could, and everything that I could, so I could go to every single school in Hammond at some time, because I wanted people to really see how most of us are, because they always think that, all we do are the derogatory things, and so I wanted to be sure that they saw that there was more to us than some of the things they had seen on TV.
What's the biggest thing you've taken away from your whole struggle with this? Like, I mean, I don't know if you really think about it, but you were a civil rights hero, basically. You paved the way for many other African American teachers. So what's the biggest thing like you take away from it?
Well, now I take away that I did open the doors, because there was never any African American in any state or any position or any occupation in the Hammond School. But I never thought of it as being anything really great, so that's what people are telling me now. Say it really was something great. I thought it was just something that had to be done, and I was the one to do it. And so I never really thought, that I was so great.
And I guess my last question for you, unless you have anything that you would like to share, like in addition, who was your really kind of role model in all of this? Like, who's somebody that you really looked up to that kind of helped you persevere and that motivated you to maybe become a teacher or maybe to fight this unfair?
Well, really my parents, because they were I think great role models. Because for one thing, they would teach us, the kids in my family, they would teach us, but then they would show us. And so we got to see every day that whatever they were talking about, that's the way they walked, and that's what they, took. They were very proud to to just be examples. And my mother still is, you know, and people still remember my dad because he did so much for Hannah. And I feel that I never got angry because I felt that I was really making the Hannah school system better, and I do feel that I did make it better. So I think now some of the things are sneaking back in, you know, but I really feel that I made the school city better, and that's what sticks in my mind.
Were there any like historical figures that you looked up to at the time were influences for you, like Martin Luther King
Yeah.
and Don B? Was there someone?
Yes, definitely Martin Luther King, and then I also read a little bit about Gandhi, and that helped me quite a bit too. But I definitely looked up to Dr. King. But then the other thing was just my parents and a few people in the community that stood up. You know, they stood out in my mind. And one was just a lady that just passed away this last week. When I first got in, these Caucasians would line the wall of my classroom, and they would stay there usually about half a day. And they did that for about a month, but we had this one lady, her name was Mrs. Cherry. She just passed away last week. Every morning for a month, she would come in. Good morning, teacher. How are you, teacher? And she would do this every morning for a month, I think, until she really felt that I felt comfortable where I was. And then I was talking to some kids last week, and they want to know, was I ever afraid? And I wasn't really afraid until I got the job. And so after I got the job, I always parked my car across the street by the window. And I would look out every so often to see if anybody was doing anything to my car. But that was the only time I felt afraid. I was never afraid during our preliminary hearings, and I don't know why, but I wasn't.
Okay, is there anything you want to add, or like a message you want to share? Because this is going out to students. So.
Well, the only thing I would like to add is don't just think that you're the only person, you're only one person, that you can't do anything, but you can. One person can do a lot. I'm finding out now that what I did was really a lot, and I didn't really think it was. I just thought it was something that had to be done. But you can really do something, and there are a lot of people that would hop in and help you once you started it or got it worked out. But you should really know what you want, what it is that you want to fight for, how you want to do it, because just like the kids I talked with last week, they were asking me about Ferguson, and I said, well, there's some things I like and some things I don't. I said, for instance, my pastor said, you don't go and fight somebody, then come home and burn your house down. And so then I said, and now they're starting to talk. You know, I think that's important. So all those things kind of come back to me now, and I hope that younger people will pick up on some of those ideas. And that's it.
That was awesome. I